Nickelodeon All Star Brawl is a game that's had its highs and lows over the years. Some people left early in the game's life cycle, others stuck around to see the game through and through. Hi, my name is Chargin Chuck, and I'm here because I want to highlight some patches in NASB's history that most folks might not have learned about or saw just because Nickelodeon All Star Brawl wasn't in the spotlight. This is my first ever type of history slash retrospective type of video, so I'm bound to get a few things wrong in this video, but hey, feel free to correct me on anything that may happen in the comments down below. So, let's talk about who made Nickelodeon All Star Brawl. That's a very good question. Let's dive right into that one. Nickelodeon All Star Brawl was made by the team that brought Slap City. Slap City was made by an indie team by the name of Ludosity. And one of Ludosity's main people, Thaddeus Cruz, aka Rep and Repito, saw an email that he thought was very much a spam. Or a scam, a spammy scam. I don't know, something like that. He thought what he saw was a scam, but then once he decided to look into it, he saw that it was the real deal. Nickelodeon themselves was looking to make a platform fighter. And, well, they thought that the Slap City team was the right fit for the job. And so, being partnered up with Fair Play Labs, the game would eventually end up being published by Game Mill Entertainment. And on October 5th, Nickelodeon All Star Brawl would launch, with it being hyped up by content creators such as Hungrybox, Coney, and many in the platform fighting world. Eyes are on Nickelodeon All Star Brawl. Let's talk about the launch date of the game. October 5th, Nickelodeon All Star Brawl had came out, and 2 weeks into the game, I had my very first Nickelodeon All Star Brawl tournament. I was Tio back in the day, and it was awesome. It was a new game. It was fast, it was all over the place, and most importantly, it was fresh. We had SpongeBob fighting up against Invader Zim, Danny versus the Ninja Turtles. Nickelodeon had so many characters to choose from, and anything was possible with its roster. No other platform fighter, to the best of my knowledge, Brawlhalla may have had them, had air strongs. The combo game seemed all over the place. You could explode at any moment, and it was the best thing ever. Wave dashing all over the place felt great. Wave landing combos was possible, and so many strings were available. On the topic of wave dashing, a part of the reason it felt so great in the game was its digital controls. With digital controls and a very good buffering system, moving around and your movement options were very clean and easy to input. You didn't need complex motions or grip styles, or grabs even, as long as you took a little bit of time to look into it. You had a good time with it. On the topic of wave dashing, a part of the reason it felt so great was its digital controls and a good buffer system. Moving around and your movement options were very clean and very easy to input. You didn't need any complex motions or grip styles to play. As long as you took some time to fill it out, you had to control where you wanted to go, how you wanted to get there, and how you moved. And movement became one of the biggest driving factors for NASB moving forward. And with wave dashing came combos. You could wave dash down with any moves and immediately be able to follow up. The air was the most important part of NASB. But you may be saying, with all the aggression and high speed action, what were defense options? Well, every character had a block in the game, and you would take chip damage for blocking. If you were on the ledge, your character would get stunned, platform or stage. You didn't have to worry about how you were angling your block or anything, only the space you had and the stage or platform. Defense was there, but it's best used sparingly. Perfect parries were there if you felt risky. I want to bring up other fighters too much in this video, but in Ultimate, defensive plays and projectiles are rewarded a lot in Ultimate. And that led to an overall defensive game with some fast-paced moments. NASB was very comparable to melee speed even. Characters didn't need dedicated reflex. Everybody was to reflect. All of the strong attacks in the game were able to reflect projectiles. as well as characters being able to grab them. And with grabs came DK cargo throws, that's right. Everybody could DK cargo throw each other and projectiles in the game. You could even drop other players mid-air on platforms to force them to tech, as well as projectiles. One of the characters that benefited from the most was Zim, being able to jump in the air with Gur, air dash to drop Gur, and use some tricky movement to outsmart the enemy. The possibility for mind games and mores, everybody's moves against them was all over the place. Every projectile was a chance to make something happen, but use projectiles too much, they get reflected right back on you. So you had to think when you wanted to use something. And it was with the DK cargo throws, there were mid-air throws, and more as well. But I've gushed enough for now. I'll let some players do the talking for me. I reached out to some NASB players to get some comments about what they enjoyed the game, and I hope you enjoy what they have to say. And so, that was some comments from the Nickelodeon All Star Brawl scene that I hope you enjoyed. The game was fun, and everyone was rushing to it for a time. But, despite everything that was amazing with the game, it didn't take so long for people to figure out some issues with the game. Biggest one being no voice acting, that's right. NASB didn't have any voice acting when the game came out. You had all these characters from everyone's childhoods and favorite shows, but they weren't the characters, they were just skins. When a character doesn't have their voice, they're empty, they're just not the character at all. No items were in the game as well. Some people prefer items, some don't, but it's an extra way to play. The arcade mode was bare bones, and the characters, without having any voices, their interactions were just text boxes, and it wasn't very replayable. Characters did not have costumes or skins when the game came out, but that would be shortly fixed about a month or two later. It did suck at launch, with there being not as many options to play the game, but it was still fun regardless, and there's always things that can be patched down the road. But it's time that we talk about what was going on at the time. What kind of meta was forming? What were the characters at launch? What were they like at launch? I'll be recalling the best that I can for you. Leonardo was definitely one of the ones you had to look out for. Being a sword character, he had the longest reach and pretty good hitboxes by his side. But that's just the beginning. That's just a character who was good, not OP. Let's dive into what was going on at that time. On October 13th, HBox had just hosted his Juicebox 54, and it was a NASB special. And one of the biggest issues about Nickelodeon All Star Brawl would be revealed pretty early. Well, I'll just let this little clip do its job for you.
I'm gonna bet 20 subs there's a Nair in the first 5 seconds of the match. No! Really making the run happen with the Ablina, but Husky, from what I've seen, is the most efficient at the Mikey Infinite. Oh, but Albert keeps answering with his own down air. Big dips. Oh, they both died. That wasn't even worth it.
Just going down for the kill.
Oh my god, the regrabs. That's it. Just a little more finesse with it.
Grand finals here. Double Mikey.
That much more often. It's been 30 seconds.
Now, what you saw there was Michelangelo's Infinite. With how the physics work at the time of NASB, Michelangelo was able to get some infinites off. It did take some execution with him needing to midair grab you and time it right. But more infinites were starting to pop up as well. Sandy's double jab attack. It knocked down enemies and it led to a tech chase. As long as the Sandy kept guessing right, well, you were just kind of doomed for a little bit. Now, Sandy at the time wasn't too insane. We had characters like April going around who had amazing reach, combos, and damage. April had everything you want as well as her ratings attack. Oblina being one of the smallest and fastest characters at the time. She was one of the main characters that showed another one of the biggest flaws at the time with NASB, the Nair Dare meta. Since Nairs were your forward airs in NASB, you would see 4 to 5 Nairs in a single combo. Combine that with how Dares worked at the start of the game, you could Nair Dare, make someone have to tech every time that they hit one string, rinse and repeat until they were off stage, until you double or triple dared them. And that's how it went. Aang, Mikey, Leonardo, Sponge, Lucy, half of the cast had the exact same problem. Moveset-wise, they were not different enough. Only their specials were, made a different game plan. Okay, every game has its issues and, balance problems that pop up. I think people could excuse a game if it's launched all over the place. NASB was an indie game after all, and there's a difference in bad launches and terrible games, and good ones being shaky at launch, and NASB is shaky. If a game had a solid foundation, it could always be worked on. With that shaking, and that shakiness would be chipped away with the patches that were quick to NASB. The infinites and Nair Dare meta will be looked at, and everything is good. At least on the PC side of things. It didn't help that the console version of NASB, the console versions were updated a week or two after the PC version of the game, due to updates needed to be approved on consoles. The issues that were already fixed on PC weren't for console players. Console players were teased with what was coming and more, and this affected the offline world, with people playing on Switches or whatever console at tournaments. They were behind in updates, and Main Stage 2021, an update had been passed through, but it wasn't on consoles yet. Well, Main Stage bit the bullet with it. I'll let this Main Stage clip do some of the speaking for me.
Space. Yep. This is not an easy matchup to do either, and also the winner of this makes it the top 8 losers, so there's a lot on the line here.
Oh yeah, quite a bit on the line indeed. Okay. Oh,
this character is quick. This character has kill power. Like, we've seen what Patrick can do here from a few times of, like, with Karkat here on stage. It was tough to get around the range of Leo, but, like, Lucy is so quick. I don't know that, like, how he's going to deal with the speed and, like, sudden little teleports and, like, kill options and stuff. That's rough.
Yeah, it's very, very tough to do it. I know Patrick, of course, a strong character for the things that they can do, like all 3 of them. But,
the strong Nair spam is real. The jump scare teleports are real. Everything's here.
And Groovy right now, getting a little groovy right now.
They don't even need the bite conversion. They're just doing the teleport right out to the down airs.
Uh-oh. Oh, get buried. Oh, yeah, goodbye.
Yeah. Oh, just could have held the ledge. It would have been game.
Okay, I love that. A perfect shield.
Amazing. Conversions there with a little bit of a...
And there you go, right there. Lucy, at the time, was able to use her teleports to immediately start chaining into some dares. All it took for her was to get one grab, and that was it. But what about Patrick? Patrick, at the time, had gotten major buffs on the PC side of things, but as I mentioned before, when it came to the locals being, on the Switch or whatever they were working with, that just simply didn't happen. Patrick went from strong Nair spamming to having a full moveset. He was missing hitboxes in some of his attacks, others were slower. Recovery was just awful. His neutral special was slower, not as big. And he was the grappler of the game. If one of his main grabs didn't work, he just wasn't even worth playing. And his strong down air couldn't even grab ledge if he tried to spike with it. Patrick would just fall straight to the blast zone. But on PC, every bit of this had already been fixed. Lincoln went from being an okayish character to a decent one. You know, with his yo-yo, he was semi-disjointed, but the string of his yo-yo didn't have any hitboxes on it. So you would just miss sometimes if you were too far, too close. His moves didn't have as many active frames, and so Lincoln would just be dropping stuff left and right. But all of these were already fixed when it came to the time for main stage on the PC, and people sadly did not get to see that at all. But, you know what? Viewers may have been left with a little bit of a bad taste, but, you know, the game was being updated and things were being looked at. Things can only get better from here on out for NASB. But let's talk about the community now, shall we? Let's talk about some people that were in the community. Despite everything NASB was going through, the community is strong and we were just having the best time of our game. And what's a fighting game without some community members? Let's start off with the voices of the community. Black Mars 64. He was one of the most prominent commentators to NASB as a whole. The passion he brought to events was unlike any other. He's been there from the start. If there was an event, 9 out of 10 times he was there. A true professional. He made an appearance at One Last Hurrah, which we'll cover later. He was also one of the players that could show what Helga could do. Valak PBA, a commentator I had the pleasure of working with when it came time for the Royal Fumble. An awesome guy. Salizzy, known as Pivka at one point, stepped up to help commentate a few events as well as throwing her own tournaments down the road. Dafar, amazing powder toast man. He had his voice at some events. PX Pride, a TO in the community as well, showed up for events like Hidden Temple and a very awesome guy. Hosted some rival stuff as well. Max Ketchum helped out with some of Hungrybox's events as well as hosting Hidden Temple. A personal shout out to Legit Brownie Gamers for being a cool dude and helping me in the past. And there's so many more people I want to mention in this video, but I could go on for hours about everybody, and I don't want to take up everybody's time like that too much now. So, I hope you'll settle with just me trying to bullet point list off some people. But now, I want to talk about some players at the time. This is going to be a quick little, actually, no, not players yet. I want to talk about Sanji Wasuki, if I got that name right. He was a TOF expert and a wonderful player and much more. Some early players would know Sanji for his netcode mod. The people who worked on the netcode for NASB were on vacation, and NASB's netcode was not so great at launch. And, well, Sanji himself, he managed to fix that up with his very own mod. And guess what? Only one person needed it. As long as someone had it, it improved the game on both sides, and the developers would even go on to add it to the game themselves. On top of that, he was posting tourney sets to his YouTube as well as making good NASB content in general for everybody to enjoy. But let's get to competitors. Let's talk about some people that are around at that time, and a little after at that point. I'll be trying to quickly go over players who played certain characters, whether it be at the start of NASB, later down the road, current day, whatever. Who was playing who. I may have some mixed up here. Players have switched characters down the road and all over the place, but I do hope I cover, some players decently well. So let me know if there's any corrections that could be made down in the comments down below.
All right. Ready? Yep. Okay, let's go.
Tusco, simmer! Ay, 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 ay!
All right.
And that was just some people that I could list off with this video. There's so many more people that I want to shout out and let people know about there, but once again, this video would be going on for so long. Anyways, let's talk about DLC. In December, the first DLC character would come out, Garfield. And guess what? He was free. Everyone could play Garfield. All you had to do was just log on, and so a small little boost of people came back. A character for free. Wow, games don't do this very often. So, people got to enjoy the lazy lasagna-eating cat himself, and he was an average character. He was fun. Throwing pies everywhere. Pookie was fun to throw down and plot with, and it was just a good time, but this is where NASB started to run into some of its first issues. It was going to take more than a new character to keep the game afloat. Now, Nickelodeon All Star Brawl competitively was doing well at the time, but every game has its period. I'll let the numbers speak. This is the Steam charts for Nickelodeon All Star Brawl. Now, do remember the game was on console, so there are console players out there floating around. But for PC, on the left is the average players, on the right is the all-time peak of that month. And well, as you can see from launch month, 90% of the players had already left in this November. I got my months all over the place. That's what happens from Alabama. When you're from Alabama, you're pretty dumb. Anyways, December strolls along and, well, NASB takes another blow. Things were not looking good. The player count was low. Casual queues were starting to take longer, and you were seeing some of the more faces on. You were seeing some of the more same faces online time and time again. Casual players were leaving, and the ones who stayed were faced up against, experienced players, and it became, a little rough time to play, and there's no lying about that. What also may have helped well is that after Garfield came out, there was no patches to talk about. There was 2 months of no updates coming through. It wasn't until the next DLC character that Nickelodeon All Star Brawl would see any changes. Streamers, YouTubers, everybody had made their videos, and their streams. They were starting to leave. The numbers were just not there. It just wasn't. Now, Tourneys were doing well, but, that's competitive. Now, there's a whole debate of whether you need a casual or competitive side for a game for it to do well, but it's a little bit of A, it's a little bit of B for me. You need some new blood to come on in to make it worth playing, but you need that competitive side to keep it strong. And, well, NASB definitely became a competitive community. It was clear NASB was losing the steam it had. The new game hype was over. Online was better, but the average player, once again, faced up against tougher people. And, if you get constantly beat down, it can feel rough. It leaves you unmotivated wanting to play, and that definitely happened to me as a TO and a semi-casual player myself. I was never good at the game myself, but, you just can't play casually sometimes. And I can only assume that's how some other casual players felt at the time. It wasn't that the game was bad, but you just had to put in the time now if you wanted to be able to play it with smaller numbers. Now, let's not talk about numbers not so much for a hot moment now. February came along, and Shredder was dropped for NASB. And just like Garfield, he was free for everybody to enjoy as well. But once again, just like Garfield, you cannot drop a new character and everybody returns. While he was a very fun character, being able to have a special that charged up his power, a devastating aerial upstrong that was a command grab, as well as being able to Bowser's side with it. Great aerial control with his neutral air and strong up air, strong grounded up, strong words hard, you know. Being able to zoom across the entire stage with a side special, it was fun, but once again, it may have been an initial spike, but a character was not enough to keep people going. The game was improving, but with less people around to talk about it and see it through, not too many people got to experience the new toys. And this is where my journey in NASB came to a close. On February 19th, I had my last Chuck's Playground for NASB. And I don't want to make this video about me, personally, for too long, but been there from the start and cheered folks on, and I thank everybody deeply who was a part of that ride. You know, Unicorn, Menity, Troco, Bug, Marsair, I like so many people that I want to freaking note. But just thank you for your part of the ride, especially Nubu. But I wish I had stayed with NASB, you know. I wish I had, because things were only going up from here on out, and I wish I had seen that through, but I sadly just didn't. But I hope when NASB 2 comes out, we can have a better little time. And I hope I get to, you know, host for everybody once again when NASB 2's out. But no matter what, no game is ever dead unless no one is playing it. Some would say Rivals of Aether is dead, but the Rivals community is just as strong, if not stronger than NASB. There's a small community and dedicated fan base. And so, people continued to push on through. And how did they? The Grinders Cord. The Grinders Cord was a Discord server for all the players of NASB, as well as those looking for matches and a place to learn about the game. All the tourneys were promoted here. Comp players came to share what they knew and helped other players out. The Grinders Cord had been there since the start of the game, if not too long afterwards. It became the main place for anything NASB related, as well as the official Discord for NASB. The devs talked regularly in the official Discord and gave some insight on what was going on behind closed doors, just like Rivals of Aether and the Rivals with Academy Discord server. Casually, the game may have taken a hit, but the competition was there, and both games were dedicated fan bases with a smaller player base. No matter what, everybody loved NASB who was playing and just kept on going. So, the online world may not have been the best, but in the streets and offline was a different story, my friends. Let's talk about some offline majors that were going on at the time for Nickelodeon All Star Brawl. What better way to show off some love for the game than having a house party? Hidden Temple, the first ever offline invitational tournament for Nickelodeon All Star Brawls, happened on February 25th. With support from Game Mill and the devs and the community as a whole, it is going to be one of the biggest tournaments of all time. Hosted by Max Ketchum himself. 8 of the best players in North America were invited directly, 4 more were qualified to online events, and the final 4 would be decided through votes. At the end, a prize pool for whoever managed to come out on top that was supported by the devs and community. Next up in the offline world was Back in Blood 3, which was only roughly a week away from Hidden Temple. Over just a week and a half later, it gave the NASB players another shot at an offline tourney. A funny thing about Back in Blood 3 was Scribble had just declared his main at the time, Lucy, was the worst character in the game, and well, that was definitely a roller coaster of emotions back then. Here is how the top 8 for Back in Blood looked like. Scribble 5th, declaring Lucy was the worst character in the game. And so, with declaring Lucy was the worst, Scribble went to April. And she was pretty strong at the time. Even labbed out a 0 to death combo with her. And because he labbed so much, Scribble got a comboed after him. Got a combo named after him. The Scribble Scam. Don't you love stuttering? I'm from Alabama. We don't do smarts here. Hey. But when researching for this video, one channel that's been a huge help for this video is the Nick All Star Brawl guy, aka Sanji from earlier. And this footage right now and most of the information is from him. So make sure to drop him a subscription and a big thank you for all this down below. Nickelodeon, May 27th, Nickelodeon All Star Brawl will make an appearance at Combo Breaker 2022. And Seiko took the win at that tourney. And, hey, I love Seiko. He showed what Zim could do. And I'm very happy when anybody can take a win with Zim. Here's what the Combo Breaker 2022 Top 8 looked like. A grand finals reset from Seiko himself. On April 15th, NASB would manage to get a slot at Genesis 8th with 137 players competing. That's pretty damn big if you ask me. Eyes and attention was still on NASB at the time, and that would attract some new people as well. Let's see what the top 8 for that looked like with Genesis. Bodhi claiming first, Blazing Pasta coming through one more time, Thunder, Sego, Mario Star, everybody was showing up again. On July 1st, Get on My Level 2022 happened, and NASB was a side event there as well. It was a tough grand finals with Scribble and Slice and Dice, but the toast wasn't cooked. Slice and Dice managed to come out on top over Scribble. And then Evo 2022 happened. NASB did have a side event there. It would be tourney footage, but sadly, that was lost to time because it was corrupted, unfortunately. Despite footage being corrupted, Scribble did come out on top. And he was making waves with his Sandy at the time. Evo was only the start for Scribble. If only everybody knew what his Sandy was cooking up at the time. Heatwave 5 would happen on November 4th. And on the topic of Heatwave, Nickelodeon All Star Brawl 2 is making an appearance at Heatwave 6. So I'm mega excited to see what happens there. Zoom up, everyone! Let's see what the top 8 for that look like. There we go. Squibble on top, beating Pugex. Sego in third. Far, Tusco, and many more familiar faces making their return as well. And from here on out, it didn't matter what had happened. Whether it be offline, online, it didn't matter. He was everywhere. And he was winning everything. From August 22nd, from August 2000, and he was winning everything. From August 2002 to now, he didn't lose a single game except for one. The man, the legend, Scribble, sheer willpower and dominance. Scribble had overcome anything and any troubles that awaited him. 48 tournaments he entered. Some had prizes, some were invitational qualifiers. He won it all. For a year and a half, the man just simply did not lose. And he is the king of NASB. 2023 Combo Breaker passes by, and hey, Squibble manages to come on top just as well. And that was a look into the offline world. Now, once again, all of this footage here has been from the Nick All Star Brawl guy. I will make sure to put his stuff down in the comments down below. Please go spread him some love if you haven't already. But that's enough about touching grass. Let's take a look back in time to May and see what was happening in the online world. Let's see what was happening in the online world during May at the time. In the NASB community, a new face would appear, Cherry, at least when it came to organizing tournaments. A new player to the NASB scene had arrived, and like many before, Cherry's met with some tough fighters all around the place. Losses hit hard at the time, even when playing. He even played in one of my own tournaments back then. It's funny when you see people back then, and you see where they are now, see what they've done. Cherry had played in other tournaments like Pineapple Tuesdays, the Royal Fumbo, Wumbo Wednesday, and many more events at that time. Most players would not stick around after facing a hard defeat, but Cherry was not one of those. And let's see, what did the man do for NASB as a whole? Well, I will tell you right now. The man came up with NASB Jr. What was NASB Jr. now? Well, NASB Jr. was based off of the online melee event called Only Noobs, which is also for beginners only. The event bans the winner of the event, so that player instead goes to find better skilled events. And so, that's exactly what happened. An event just for new players and people who were grinding out their skills and their play styles, trying to figure out what they should do, what can they improve, and everything just like that. It was an event for just people who were just looking for a good time and to grind to enter. And so I reached out to Cherry personally, and I got some quotes from him. Let's see what he had to say when I contacted him. NASB Jr. started in May 2022. I had the idea pretty much ever since I joined the community. I had always gotten washed up and wanted a way to play the game in a tournament format where I wouldn't get destroyed. So I, with the help of TNT, Hey Victor, Lucian, Tafar, Blackmore, Lunchita, Mario, Stair, 12, Star, and more, got the event's graphics, price pool, commentary, and TOing off the ground, as well as the prize pool. I reached out to him and said, how well did it go at first? Did you have any difficulties? And who were some players that came out of NASB Jr.? So the first one, I'd say in retrospect, was a miracle. The switch bracket, I think, ran horribly due to the event accidentally starting earlier than intended by like 30 minutes, and the bracket having to be remade from scratch. Somehow, with the team we had, we rebuilt it and salvaged who showed up. PC ran fairly well, besides some lag. It was my first ever event I hosted, with it having 91 entrants, the second largest event I've ever hosted for the game. Prize money was also super new to me, so I was worried about that, and it went well. Thank you very much for your comments and time, Cherry. So, a low skill event for everybody new to the scene. And it was exactly what NASB needed at the time. And many players got their start here, including some players like Magi Kuwabara, an Oblina player back then, and a player you saw give some of their thoughts earlier in the video. They won the very first Nickelodeon All Star Brawl up against Phoenix Wrong. And I'll let the rest of this set play out. A stylish finish. And so, from here on out, things remained steady for NASB. NASB Jr. would continue down the road, as well as Cherry's other events like Chum and Go, Saluzi's Powder Toast Tuesdays, I Lose Tuesdays, Pineapple Tuesdays, and so many more Tuesdays that now I'm starting to hate the word Tuesday. I'm the Tuesday Garfield. Tree Stabs Thirsty Thursdays, Papa Mac's Slime Grind Time, Do the Fix Fry Cook Fridays and Fig Fridays, Beans Taco Shack Thursday, and I'm sure there's so many more events I could have listed here. DLC characters were starting to come out over the time as well. Jenny from My Life as a Teenage Robot was the first. She was released in May and she was super cool at the time. Down the road in June, voice acting had finally came to Nickelodeon All Star Brawl. Hugh Neutron from Jimmy Neutron was the second DLC character. And let's just say, he came riding in, well, maybe not so much glory. He came riding in on a giant banana and his taunt being Chun-Li's lightning kicks that you could execute at any time. The man was definitely had an obsession with ducks and was definitely one of the most unique characters I've ever seen in a fighting game. And then lastly, in October, we had Rocco from Rocco's Modern Life. And from there on out, the online world continued without too many hiccups, and NASB would keep going strong. And now, it's time we finally got to the title of the video, everybody. One Last Hurrah, hosted by Cherry and several of the other community figures. It had a prize pool of 2.5k, and it brought over some familiar players from past, present, and future. Old and new legends took their shot. Players like BioBurb of Rivals fame even dropped in. 92 players in total entered and duked it out for a shot at some cash. I myself entered, and my first match DQ'd. And you wanna know who I faced next? Scribble! Anyways, everybody has shown up for One Last Hurrah. They wanted to show their support for the game and maybe for some money. Overall, I went 2-2 in it, and I had a pretty damn good time for not playing in a year and a half. And you want to know who took it home? It was Scribble himself. And so, I'll let the rest of this set do some of the talking for me.
The very end, losing no games in the tournament, that is a question I have here.
Look, if there's ever going to be a game to lose, it would be at the start of that one, but he makes his way back with a strong nair. Still a great option, as little as he throws it out. And we're in the jab scenario, catches the neutral get up there, tries to trade, but we're back, makes his way down, gets caught with the get up attack, and Black Aurora, I'm not too sure. It's looking a little bit rough for Blazing Pasta here.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he can find a game plan around this lasso and this jab.
Honestly, yeah, seems like he's playing a little bit, trying to get away past it, but it is not working out. Scribble already taking this first stock off of Pasta, only 42% on him too. It's so unfortunate.
He's got him off stage though. Maybe he can get something. No, just a quick air dash to the ledge. Rinse and repeat. Snare this time. There's so many mix-ups with that recovery. It's hardly even a disadvantage from at some perspective, at some points of the game. But oh, that was a big parry. You're in a tough spot.
Oh boy, Lincoln recovery again, not being the best. Oh, Scribble just flow charts it masterfully. We're talking about the flow charts. God, it's nice with it.
And an ode to an earlier meta with that double dare, even at the end, still being a fantastic option. We're down 2 stocks. You're digging deep right now. You've got to find something, anything to get you on the board, but instead you just get a lasso. That's what you found. Now you're at the ledge, but he makes it back. He should be good now. Yeah, finds the stock at 125.
He does get the stock, man, but I don't know. Scribble just still looks so comfortable with his neutral, catching the top, throwing the lassos to challenge his range, staying outside of the yo-yo's range. I'm sorry. It's just, he's playing so well right now. It's so tough for your Pasta, just climbing such a steep hill right now.
Yep, and then you get put in this scenario where you think you're DIing the right way, but he just turns around the grab. Maybe you can make something happen here. You get the Beat Saber once, try and rinse and repeat, but this time he just goes up.
So many options, Pasta not ready to deal with them all. And Scribble fights back to the stage. Lasso goes up over the top. Scribble is 1 stock away from taking one last hurrah.
Look, hey, that might be it. No, good tech. He definitely needed that. Getting stuck off stage right there is a bad spot. Finds his way back. He's got to just scratch at something. Try and get back on the center stage. Lasso dare. It's over. That's it. Scribble, Last Hurrah, first place. No games dropped.
And so, here we are with the top 8 of One Last Hurrah. Scribble losing nothing, lands all the way into first place with all these other amazing contenders. Everybody, my name is Charge and Chuck, and if you somehow made it to the end of the video, let me know what you thought. And hey, I hope I highlighted some parts of NASB's history for everybody. Thank you very, very much for being a part of this wild ride, and thank you for everything that everybody's done to help with this video and, being a part of my stuff in the past. I wish everybody a freaking awesome day.